because, you know, your chance can come in the first minute of the game or the last, and you have to be able to stay cool and execute, you know, and that's where you've seen it over the years. Some of the great players in the world, under pressure, they stay cold and you know, and they finish it.
He has been good off the bench at times, though. He really has. He has come off some good moments, but yeah, had to take first time.
It's not that one tonight.
No.
It's OK, though. It does mean that Arsenal have dropped points in 4 of their last 6 matches. Not something Mikel Arteta will have wanted. Let's hear from him now.
Mikel, how do you view that point on the road?
Well, a really tough place to come. We knew that very difficult to dominate the game through long periods because they are really good. They drag you to a game where anytime the ball is in and around the byline or in the channel, you put the ball out for a throw-in, and it's it's like a casino. Anything can happen, and something really bad can happen, and you have to navigate through that. I think after the first 15 minutes, we started to dominate the game. It started the second half really well, the first 20-25 minutes, they scored the goal, and from there we lacked more composure, I think, to maintain the ball better, to play in the right areas, to stay more disciplined, because we started to give a lot of unnecessary free kicks away and with bad clearances, and allow the ball in the channels and start to generate set pieces, and they are really, really good at it, so credit to them as well, for sure.
That first 15 minutes, did you make errors that are quite uncharacteristic of your Arsenal side?
I don't know, it's part of the game. Sometimes you don't start that well, and sometimes it's credit to the opposition as well.
You made the switch at half-time for Eze for Martin Odegaard. Was that tactical or injury?
Yes, it was tactical. Yes, I think we needed a different kind of profile in the manner that especially they were pressing, and we started really, really well in the second half.
And then at the end, as you said, it felt like either team could have won that and either team could have lost it.
Yeah, we had a massive chance at the end with a 1v1 all through for Guy Martinelli, but it didn't meant to be.
4 points the difference now. How much attention do you pay to this?
Well, the same that I was used to pay 2 or 3 weeks ago. We have to do our job, and we're going to have to come to all these places the same like the rest of the team, and we know how tough it is, and you have to be at your best every game and have the luck that you need as well in games to conquer the 3 points each week.
Mikel, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mikel Arteta looking visibly flat and disappointed there. These are Arsenal's next 6 fixtures in the Premier League. Their rearranged fixture with Wolves, which would have been played on the original date that they were going to play the EFL Cup final, has been brought forward to next Wednesday. It does mean, Theo, that they're going to play in the league again before Manchester City play their next game. How important could that be?
Yeah, really important. It's I felt like with Man City getting the points yesterday, the days before, it's always that pressure of we need to do the job. So, look, it's still in their hands. Look, they have plenty of games to make up the points, of course, but everyone was going to look at that game when they play each other. Of course they are, as a neutral. But, look, Arsenal, he weren't happy. He would not be happy with that. He'd be unhappy with a lot of players as well tonight because they were indifferent, should we say.
Some of the things that I picked out from that interview, him saying they lacked composure and they were giving away unnecessary free kicks. It felt uncharacteristic of Arsenal tonight. Do you agree?
I think so, yeah. I think it's the pressure. But saying that, it's a difficult place to go. I think he referenced that, you know what you're getting when you go to Brentford. It's not going to be easy, but you've got to try and make it easy. But I think you have to cut out individual mistakes. In terms of the concentration levels, has to be high. You have to limit them of chances. They didn't do that, really. Thought Brentford were better in the second half. I thought Arsenal wasted the first half. Eze weren't good enough. You know, I still feel like he's playing with a handbrake on. I know he ain't played games and probably not match fit, but you still expect a little bit more. But yeah, they were different. They were different tonight, and I think that's a mentality thing, if I'm being honest.
And they've got to be careful, Theo, because the narrative is going to continue, isn't it? To say this has happened before. They don't want to slip up like they have in the past.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting as well in the dressing room if they're going to be constantly reminding each other of this. People like your Declan Rice and your Odegaard.
Do you think they will?
I don't think they should. I think it's not a good place to be when you're looking at other results. But part of me feels like they will. But they need to. Again, it's the cliche, focus on their job, and it's Wolves next, simple as that, and that's the focus.
And a game against a team bottom of the league is potentially one that could get a bit of confidence from.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's probably the perfect game for them to play right now, away from home. So, look, I think I would expect them to get an Arsenal win, a completely different performance.
And, of course, they've got the FA Cup before then. So many competitions and so much still to play for in the... What I love about interviews when you go to Brentford is the atmosphere. You can hear that the fans are still there. We saw the team kind of go round and applaud them at the end. And you can understand why, Theo, because taking your Arsenal hat off for just a moment, Brentford have been brilliant at home this season, particularly against the top sides.
Yeah, there wasn't many people leaving before. the end of the game. It was incredible. It's a great little atmosphere. That stadium, fantastic, and they deserve everything they're getting right now. But there's a confidence and there's an energy about the place, and it's going in the right direction. It always has been, actually, and they're kind of, I feel now they're a really established Premier League team, and they're growing. They're growing very fast, and I was really pleased with Lewis Potter. He did some really nice moments tonight as well. But it's really refreshing just to see the energy that he gives in this young Brentford team, actually, because it is really young. So for me, he's a player to keep an eye on. This is why Brentford are doing well. Players like himself who are allowed to play with that freedom. And I think that's what Keith Andrews allowed for the team to access.
OK, well, as we just heard from him, let's take a look at the goal that he did score to equalise things for Brentford. Do you want to talk us through this, Theo? Because I know that you were a little bit intrigued about something that happened just before.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in this position before. Well, I have anyway. You not so much yourself.
I've got a halfway line.
But there was a substitution that was made before. You know, Bukayo Saka come on, and it's kind of unusual during a set piece, because it was a corner, actually, that he came on for, which was here, which led to the clearance that went out for a throw. And it could happen to anyone, but it was just more on the fact a substitution was made, and you can be a bit disorganised, I suppose. But look, Coyote's got an incredible throw. We know this, but it's all about the first contact. Van der Berg wins it. And Lewis Potter, his movement, his energy around there, and he just smells it. And you can just see here, you highlighted him here. Odegaard is aware of him, however, it's the little initial movement. He's that elegant and that fast, he can't react. And here, JD, the first touch is so important.
Yeah, I think with any set piece, really, long throw-ins, there's so many bodies and so congested. I think the first contact's so important. Arsenal normally, they normally defend this well. The setup's good. If you don't get the first contact, you don't get the second, you're in trouble. It's a brave header, to be honest, right into the top corner there. But I have to say, they deserved it. For how they played in the second half, they deserved that. And maybe should have gone and won, like I said.
It isn't something we see Arsenal do too often. They're so impressive defensively, so robust. We know they were missing William Saliba tonight. I know you said pre-match how much there is squad depth now and they have confidence in the players that come in. But do you think that they looked a bit unsettled as a back line a bit tonight?
They looked nervous. They did. It's quite an intimidating place to play football as well, if you're not used to it, coming from different cultural leagues. However, look, I felt like they would go there and do the job. And like Jermaine said, the first half was wasted. The second half, there was signs which were improved when Martin Odegaard came on, and that's how Arsenal should have started. So they'll be kicking themselves for that, with the way they started wasn't the right way. But look, they're still 4 points clear of Man City, and they've just got to keep them at bay.
And interestingly, Brentford are so impressive from throw-ins. They've got the most goals from throw-ins in the Premier League this season. They know what they're good at, and they use it, Jermaine. Sounds simple, but they're showing it works.
The long throws that come back. Sam Allardyce used to get a lot of stick for that. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it just causes chaos. And obviously they work on being brave. I don't suppose there's much tactical element to it, but you've got to be brave and get the first contact, like I said. And then, and then see if you can get the second one, and, it causes chances. I mean, if you've got someone that's got a long throw, you have to use it. And like you see, when you see the graphic there, it's effective, so you've got to keep using it.
What I like as well is where they're always moving. Yeah. Sometimes throw-ins, you're waiting, he's rubbing the towel, but they're just constantly on the move.
And it's hard to defend it.
It's so hard to defend.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Jermaine, we wouldn't be defending there.
I was going to make that
point, but... I'm ready for the counter-attack. But no, it causes so many problems, and it just disorganises everyone. And then suddenly you've lost your man because you ran into someone. So it's a great weapon to have.
It goes back to kind of something we said pre-match, where you guys pointed out the fact that once they get the ball, they kind of look to attack. They know what they're good at, and they just do it. And it's like I said it before, it sounds so basic, but not all teams do that.
I think teams try and do it, but you can tell that they've worked on it. Because I think you can win the ball back and you can break, but you've got to do it with quality. You've got to keep the ball. And even before, at the top of the show, we saw a few clips where on the transition, they get to like 3 passes quickly, and then you've got runners, and then they end up scoring. I think that's a skill. That's something that you have to work on as a team. They do it so well, better than anyone in the league, to be honest.
How much credit does Keith Andrews deserve?
So much credit, because I think they're a better team now than they were last season and the season before. I feel like I think they've always been a good team, a decent team, but I feel like they're harder to play against now. I think there's a sort of like clear identity in terms of how they play, and the home form. Any team that goes there, it's going to be a difficult game.
It does feel like they're so incredibly well coached, well drilled, and there was a lot said about him being the set piece coach before, but it's almost like that's working to their advantage.
It's just refreshing. I think we've said it at the top of the show, like you were saying, you put players in positions where they're going to be creative and to play with that spark and that freedom, that energy, and Keith Andrews has allowed that to happen in certain ways, and he does not let teams get back into shape. Very refreshing. He wanted to win the game at the end. Some teams would just want to keep that point but they knew they could smell that they could get a result tonight. That's why he was so disappointed. You could see he was disappointed not getting the win. But look, it's great to see, and that's why we love the Premier League. That's why we love it.
It is indeed. Well, we can...
And Martin, Brentford very much on top for a lot of the first half, but Arsenal made the change at half-time with Ødegaard coming on, and it did improve, didn't it, at the start of the second half?
Without doubt, because I think what Ødegaard brings is often missed. The way that he presses really high up the pitch, and Brentford then really couldn't play through the midfield in the way that they wanted to. I felt when the goal came, that was obviously a good moment. But then Ødegaard gets, for me, injured. I don't think quite the same player after that. I think there's actually the Arsenal players that came off the bench didn't quite look themselves. Standout player Declan Rice for Arsenal was almost immense, the amount of distance he was covering, and it was just, you know, it was a standout player. But I think what you do, you take that point and you say, okay, right, we'll take the point, we're off. You know, I think that's now 24 games, derby games that Arsenal have played in without losing. There's 5 more derby fans here. That local rivalry is
it didn't bother him at all, honestly.
Is intense. But credit to Brentford and Keith Andrews, what he's achieving here, the way that they developed the team. Obviously, that foundation was created by the previous manager. But boy, are they taking, you know, adding extras to it, the long throws, the set pieces. You can see it was, I couldn't see Arsenal surviving that last half an hour without conceding from a set piece. And so it told.
They've taken some big scalps here, Brentford, though. So a point here is not easy to get. But is the concerning thing for Arsenal fans that the
down in that low block, I think, you know, they could have moved it quicker. In the end, it came down to a cross and a header from Madueke, but it can't be too disheartening. I think anyone who comes is they know they're going to be in the game. It's a difficult place to come. They grind you down, and you know it wasn't too dissimilar to the Stoke team that I played for. You know, when you just see players kind of, you just feel like it's a matter of time before you've worn them down. The deliveries from Jensen were first class. He's whipping them right underneath the bar. The throw-ins keep coming in, and I actually felt Mosquera and Gabriel did well. I thought they were two of the better players for Arsenal tonight. But, you know, that kind of pressure eventually tells its toll.
And you felt that Arsenal were going to get it over the line with that Madueke.
To get some reaction from the GTEC Community Stadium now. Sepp van der Berg is joining us pitch side, and he looks like he might be a little bit cold, so we won't keep you too long. Sepp, congratulations, firstly, on a big point. I'm saying congratulations, but do you feel like potentially you deserved a bit more from that match?
I think deserve is a big word, but I think if you look at the end of the second half, we get a good opportunity, maybe a couple, to score the 2.
Keane, wow, what an end to that game. I know you had to sit and watch the end of it just on the bench there, but a point gained, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, a big point in the end. It could have gone either way at the end there, as you said. They go down one end, then we go down the other end. But yeah, I think at the end of the day we deserve the point, and we're happy.
Once again, though, you've managed to take points off top teams. How do Brentford raise their levels to do this?
You know, I think the squad we've got, we can do special things, and like you said, to play the top teams and take points off them, that's our aim every time. And yeah, like I said, we've got a specials team, so hopefully we can carry on.
You got a second bite of the cherry there with the header. There was no mistaking that one.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I should have scored the first one, but yeah, I was lucky enough that the second one dropped to me, and yeah, I wasn't going to make a mistake this time.
With Keith Andrews this season, what belief does he install in you all? What does he bring to a training session and your team?
You know, I think the way he speaks to us every single day, the way he holds the meetings, the training sessions, you know, he speaks so highly of us players and the staff around us. And, you know, like I say, we've got a special group, absolutely unbelievable group, and yeah, we can definitely do something special this season.
In terms of something special, as you said, you're talking about European places maybe?
Yeah, who knows, you know, that's the aim. Hopefully we can finish as high as possible, but yeah, we'll see at the end of the season.
All right, well done on the point tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.